are those discussions with President-elect Trump like?
Well, of course, not divulging any of the details or
Of
specifics. I can
course.
tell you that the president was very optimistic about the America First agenda and was reiterating the importance of this step of getting Speaker Mike Johnson elected because we have no time to waste and a tremendous amount of work to do. So he was very optimistic. He was very encouraging, really laid out the tenets of the America First agenda and why we had to get to work immediately. There were absolutely no threats. There was nothing negative in the conversations. And of course, there's a lot of moving parts on the House floor during this first day. So, we had to keep that first ballot open and, a lot of people with a lot of opinions about how we're going to accomplish this goal. But the thing that I am encouraged by is in those moments, we were all able to look at each other and say, listen, we're in this because we are here to serve our constituents and the American people. We're getting ready to take an oath to the United States Constitution. We have a lot of work to do. This is bigger than any small difference in opinion on a particular policy. We have to see the bigger picture here. And so we were able to move forward at the end of the day. But it was with a little bit dramatic here in the last 24 hours, I'll say.
But all within the hour, which is very impressive, I have to say. So after Johnson won the speaker vote, your Republican colleague Chip Roy said, quote, "There are many members beyond the three who voted for someone else who have reservations." Congresswoman, what is it specifically Johnson needs to tell these members to prevent stalemates over bills moving forward?
Well, I think that this is more than just what he needs to say. It's what he needs to do. And we want, certainly in the Republican conference, we want someone who is going to have a backbone of steel, who is going to really uphold those conservative values and principles that we all have campaigned and believe in. And that is something that when you have these narrow margins and people who say, well, I have a difference of opinion on this policy, then all of a sudden you're stuck with, well, how do I get forward progress? And so we have to make a decision. Are we going to take the incremental wins, or are we going to just say, no, we're not going to do anything at all? And I think by and large, the vast majority of the Republican conference, we want to get things done. And so I think what we need to see is a return back to those conservative principles of truly cutting government spending, reducing the size and scope of government, making that America First agenda a reality. And that's difficult when you have a 2-vote majority. The speaker's job is not an easy one. It's basically like herding cats, and you got a lot of A-type personalities. So it's certainly not an easy job, but the proof is going to be in the action, less so in the words.
I'm glad you mentioned cutting spending, because if that is the central issue for the Freedom Caucus, how does Johnson balance that demand while most likely having to get Democrats on board to pass these upcoming budget or other bills that we expect in the next few months?
Well, I was one of the 38 in the last couple of weeks who rejected a massive CR bill with a suspension of the debt ceiling. It's pretty ridiculous to say that you need to cut spending by increasing the debt limit. It makes no sense. And so what we were able to do is go into a room, start hashing out the details of what that would look like. And I think it's that work on the front end that needs to happen rather than on the back end or in the 11th hour where everyone is scrambling and it turns into a big dramatic mess. We were able to say, okay, we're going to cut this type of spending. We're going to increase our savings here so that the American people can keep more money in their pocket and get less government interference in their everyday lives by doing X, Y, Z. These are the conversations and negotiations that need to be happening more often. And like I said, on the front end, because when a package is thrown in our laps in the 11th hour and we're looking at it, not many people are going to get behind that. So the cutting of government spending and a lot of the waste, fraud, and abuse that has really plagued our government for so long, that's what we're getting after. We just have to have those conversations often and early.
Let me stick to this for a moment, because Johnson vowed to drastically slash the size of government. What do you want to see cut over the next 2 years, Congresswoman?
Oh, I could give you a laundry list, almost nearly $5 trillion that we can spend, that we can cut, and we can save that money on behalf of the taxpayers. And they wouldn't notice, we wouldn't notice really a difference in our everyday lives as a result. People fail to realize that even just our regulatory environment, just what we spend as taxpayers every single year in enforcement and compliance, it's almost $2 trillion with a T dollars. That's just regulations. Now, those are rules and regulations that have been implemented by unelected, nameless, faceless bureaucrats that dwell in basements all over Washington, D.C. That is something that we're going to tackle right away.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.